yesterday. Couldn't be more excited. So in D2, we really saw Tyrael emerge not only as an enigmatic main character, but also as a renegade angel. Can you tell us anything about how the high heavens feel about his actions, or really what kind of role the heavenly host is going to play in D3?
We're not going to reveal any details about that, but I can say we do address a lot of the issues that you're talking about. I can extrapolate that the high heavens aren't very pleased with his actions. Yeah, I probably shouldn't say any more.
Sure. Hi. I noticed that you guys have an entire web page just devoted to the geography of Diablo 3, and it seems like you are placing much more of an emphasis on geography than maybe even Warcraft 3 did, definitely more than Diablo 2 did, and I'm wondering if you have something more to elaborate on that with. Is there, a purpose to this? Does it serve something later on, perhaps?
I think what we were trying to create there is a real world feel when you're running around in the levels. We want you to think like the towns that you're going to and these places that you're visiting. You can see them on the map. You know where they are, more so than like D2, or you never kind of knew where you are. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep. I think also what we're really trying to do in Diablo 3 is to expand kind of the little bit, and the feelings and the small bits of story and lore that you got in the previous games in the series, and then really like blow out the world of Sanctuary and explore the cultures and the nations and all of that.
Hi, this question is from Twitter. Are there any plans for Diablo 3 to support UI add-ons?
Hey, Twitter, what up? It's a funny name for a dude, Twitter. No, we have no plans to support UI add-ons. We feel very strongly that what makes Diablo work is the simplicity of controls, straightforward design. And UI mods are glorious, wonderful things, but one of the side effects is that they vastly increase the complexity of your control systems and your user interface, and we don't have any intention, we don't want to do that with Diablo 3.
Hi, my question was about when you're playing the game. I kind of felt like all the characters all the monsters just blew up into a river of blood. And that's cool and everything, yeah! But that's cool and everything, but I felt like in Diablo 2, you just kind of slash some characters and they drop and die, and occasionally they'll blow up. And it just felt really busy, like so much was going on and so many monsters in one spot.
So usually we're really big fans of blood. I think I can speak for most people. Yeah. But that is definitely something that we've been thinking about too. There's still some tuning that we're doing on things like that, like effects, and blood is included in that as well. So ultimately, anything that impedes gameplay or actually gets in the way of that, obviously we're going to fix or we're going to tweak. But we also want to make sure that you get a lot of satisfaction from hitting things and actually get a payoff from fighting. So there's a lot of that there as well.
Yeah, my question was every time like you stun someone with the barbarian, like the little words have to pop up above their heads, and it seems like that kind of takes you out of the immersion, kind of like in WoW. And I was wondering if there's a toggle off or if you're going to keep that in or anything like that.
We have toggles for some things that come up. Right now, that's not one of them. It's always been our focus to be gameplay before anything else, before even immersion. And what we find is when we put in some features, there's just no other way to telegraph them but to use a bit of UI. That's a last course of action for us. But we have no intention of removing things that we think are necessary to play the game just because someone says, well, I'm slightly less immersed. For us, at the end of the day, it's still a game, and that's the most important thing. The fact that the game is very, very playable. It's very easy to understand what's going on. There's nothing really that can trump that for us.
All right, so I was wondering if there was going to be a new implemented system for gold or currency, because really in Diablo 2, the only thing was gold was used for resurrecting your mercenary.
That's a good question. The reason that gold lost its value or had diminished value in Diablo 2 is pretty involved. It had to do with the amount of gold that you got relative to the amount of gold that you could hold, the trade system. There's definitely a lot of lessons that we've learned, not only from Diablo 2, but from World of Warcraft as well. We have a lot of ideas in mind. We would very much like for the gold currency to be meaningful and for players to take the steps that we need so that gold becomes an actual trade currency rather than, you know, perfect skulls or Stones Jordan or whatever. So we're definitely looking at that.
Hi, I want to make a quick shout out to my friends in Riven, but my question is that you guys did great in Diablo 2 and Lord of the Destruction, but the big gap between Diablo 2 and Lord of the Destruction were the rare, unique, and rune words. The rare items in Classic were great. They were better than uniques. You know, not everybody had the same unless they were duped. And in Lord of the Destruction, everybody had Enigma and whatnot. So how is the items going to be in Diablo 3? Are they going to be cookie cutters, or are they going to be everybody have a unique set?
I think that the randomly generated items are the heart of the item system in a game like Diablo and Diablo Universe. It's definitely the desire that the random yellows, rare items, have the potential to be better than the unique ones. Of course, it's always tough because it's a tricky balance issue between making a unique or a rare better one versus the other, because some people would rather the uniques be better and some people would rather the rares be better. I think that the key for that, for us, is to maybe look at other roles that the uniques could fill. For example, maybe the uniques are better at combining affix properties that you wouldn't ordinarily see together, would be unlikely. Another might be that perhaps you don't see armor on amulets very often, and in this case maybe you would on a unique. But at the end of the day, we would very much like the randomly generated items to be prominently featured because it supports the end game and replayability better.
About the party search system, will it be automatic like in the demo which I just played? Is it like automatic, or do you plan to add something like a function to choose which people, like our friends, which will be in the party? And do you plan to make it as fast as in the demo?
I'll take this one. Let's see. That's a lot of questions. So for getting into a party, it's really important to us that you be able to pick, very easily get into games with your friends. That's one of the things that I think Jay and I had talked about for a long time that's really important to our game experience. In Diablo 2, it was very difficult for you to find your friend. You'd usually have to call them up or IM them or something and get into the game. And we really wanted to make sure that that was an integrated part of the experience. So finding your friends, getting into a game, and forming a party very quickly, that's extremely important to us. And I think that we're still exploring a lot of other avenues for how to get other people together, to form those parties, to have good game experiences. What's really important to us is that that we get a lot of good game experiences on there. The things that we don't want is we don't want to have people randomly hopping into your games, doing things that negatively affect your game experience and forcing you to somehow quit your game. We want to make sure that more game experiences are positive. And we still want to have hardcore mode and PvP and all of that, though. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I was wondering, how are you guys doing town portals, waypoints, or some kind of instant transport system? And what exactly is your development process behind that?
So, I'll go ahead and take that one. The waypoint system is probably going to return very similar to how it was in Diablo 2. We're kind of designing that system right now, and it's pretty much looking very similar. Town portals, we're really trying to figure out if we can completely remove them. The biggest reason that we don't like town portals is how they affect combat. They're meant to be a travel tool, a convenience tool, but they're actually a escape from any situation that is unpleasant to me tool. And when you have something like that, it not only kind of incites some not really fun ways to play the game, actually, on the player's part. I mean, they're using the tools that are given to them, so rightly so. It also creates kind of sloppy design on the designer's part. I don't think Duriel would have ever existed if there were no town portals in Diablo 2, because you wouldn't have been able to beat them, and that's not good. It is our goal, though, that players be able to move quickly through the world. It's not a game about travel. Travel time's not something we want in it. So as we work through, we're focusing on a lot of different systems, putting in waypoints. The checkpoint system for death is actually meant to reduce travel time. Resurrection, when you're with other players, is meant to reduce travel time. The fact that our dungeons actually have exits in them, so you don't get to the bottom of a dungeon and then have to walk all the way back. So all these things are meant to reduce travel time, to make sure that players can get back to towns fairly regularly, unload their inventory, and not constantly be just walking without actually being in action.
Hi. So in the demo, the wizard seemed really slow-paced, and you guys are definitely trying to get a faster-paced game going. So are you guys gonna try and fix that, or is there different specs where one's maybe faster and one's slower?
I get it. I think it's a symptom of the skills that we selected for the demo. Originally, when we thought we'd try to just give you a character and let you spend the skill points, but then we knew people were going to only have about 15 minutes. So we decided to just give them a loadout. And Arcane Orb, which is the kind of primary attack skill you start with, is a very slow moving. That's kind of its downside. But other attack skills like Magic Missile and Electrocute are near instant, so they're a lot faster. So you can adapt your playstyle. If you want something that's faster, you can certainly adapt your playstyle. You can also focus on items that increase cast speed, movement speed, boots, things like that. So you can definitely have a faster pace of play than that skill, depending on your loadout.
In last year's build, one of my favorite things was with the Witch Doctor, you could set your zombie dog on fire or poison it, and it would look like that, and it would do that kind of damage. It was really cool. But in this year's demo, that's not there at all. What happened to it?